Morning.
Morning, Roy.
Good morning.
5th of September, Rabbi Furst, Rosh Hashana.
Good morning,
Okay.
Rabbi Furst, and good morning, Lou.
Very good to see you. Very good, Shabbat. Good day, Bez Hashem. Okay, let me put the document on our screen. All right. Okay, let's see. I think we left off on, we're in paragraph 19 today, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that's what I think too.
Okay, very good.
Should I read?
Yes, unless anyone else would like to read instead, but sure, you can read. You can go ahead.
Asya Shofar Kule. What's Asya?
I see. It's where you bring the chauffeur.
Ring the shofar, etc. Okay. Im Tachvunan Bidavar Zeh.
That's right. Im tazvunim, but the vars. If you'll think into this thing, if you'll give some thought to this point.
What I'm sorry, what's this word? Takvunan?
From the word tavuna. Tavuna is like an insight from bina. Tavuna to bina, deva haskell. Tavuna. Tavuna is insight.
Okay, so if you have insight into this thing, Yochal Hadam Ladas Sod Shofar Shel Rosh Hashana, then a person is able to understand the secret of the shofar of Rosh Hashanah. Shehu Dome Lish the shofar Shnia.
In Nehemiah, it's doima to the shofar that's quoting in the pasuk in Yeshaya, in Perek Zion.
Doma means similar.
Doima, right?
V'haya bayom hahu yiska b'shofar gadol. That on this day, the great shofar is blown. He asher timtza hashofar b'torah lo timtza ella begeula.
Begeula, right? Begeula.
So because we find the shofar in the Torah, we only find it regarding redemption.
Right. When the shofar in the Torah is mentioned, in Tanakh, when it's mentioned, the shofar is mentioned. It's mentioned in connection with geula, redemption.
Az ma she Yoshia Yehoshia Hakadosh Baruch Hu es Yisrael. Not Oz.
Either or, meaning, first of all, when we see that the Torah mentions this point about shofar, it's mentioned in relationship to geula, or perhaps Ma'ashi Yoshia, or that Hashem is bringing a salvation to Klal Yisrael.
Isn't that the same thing?
Not really. A little bit different, meaning what's the case? The shofar is mentioned in the Yom Kippur of Yovel. Yom Kippur of Yovel, there's a mitzvah to blow the shofar to sound the liberation of the slaves. Liberation of the slaves takes place in the Yovel year. And in order to do that, in order for the slaves to be freed, the shofar must be blown. So the slaves, when being liberated, that's done through the sounding of the shofar. That's one aspect of the blowing of the shofar, that it brings redemption. Or it could be another kind of a case where Hashem is going to bring a salvation to Klal Yisrael.
Right, but you haven't answered my question. What's the difference between redemption and salvation?
No, redemption is a person simply changing from one state to another state. We were redeemed from our slavery in Mitzrayim, or the slaves are being redeemed from their servitude in Yovel. But to be a Yeshua is something which is a person is in a terrible situation. Really, a salvation is much more than a redemption. A geula, there's a geula and Yeshua. They're two different things. So you're asking, what's the difference between geula and Yeshua? Geula is from a state of confinement, a state of constriction, into a state of freedom. Yeshua is a state is being taken out of a state of danger, of sakana, or something which is a threat. Right? A person, the slaves, when they're being freed from their servitude in Yovel, there's no threat. They're not being saved from any threat. The person's being saved. Yeshua is a salvation. He's being saved from something. Whereas you don't say that slaves are saved from slavery. They're redeemed. They're liberated from slavery, but they're not being saved from anything. Well, Yeshua is they're being saved from something.
So how come we say that we were redeemed from Egypt? Shouldn't we say we were saved from Egypt?
When you look at the plain situation, that the Gemara in Psachim says we were taken from Avdus Necherus, right? So servitude to freedom. So servitude to freedom. There's not necessarily anything threatening about Avdus. There may be a lack of freedom, but there's nothing. You don't say that you're being saved from something. You're not saved from slavery. You're liberated from slavery. You're freed from slavery. But it's not that you're being saved from anything.
Okay.
I mean, the Gemara says over there that we came out from darkness. We came from darkness to light. So a person's in darkness, so he's in darkness. And now he's in light. You don't say he's being saved from darkness. I mean, darkness represents just like slavery. Darkness and slavery both represent a lack of freedom, a lack of ability to determine your own future, a lack of freedom to do what you want. But it's not necessarily any danger involved, nothing that you're actually being saved from.
But there was danger in Egypt. I mean, we were dying. They were buried. They were putting our children in the walls, and they were beating us to death.
Yeah, well, that wasn't the servitude. That was the oppression. That was we being oppressed, right?
Right.
That was the oppression. It wasn't the slavery. The slavery The servitude was one thing, the oppression was something else.
So you're saying when it says we were redeemed from slavery, not we were redeemed from Egypt.
Yeah, right, exactly. The redemption was from slavery. What was the Egyptians were doing to us, their atrocities against us, that was something else.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
Okay.
Very interesting. That
Yeah.
pasuk is very interesting, by the way.
Yeah, and which pasuk you're referring to, Mayor?
The one in chapter 27.
You go ahead. Explain.
It says, "It shall be on that day that a great shofar will be blown, and those who are lost in the land of Assyria and those cast away in the land of Egypt will come together, and they will prostrate themselves to Hashem on the holy mountain in Yerushalayim."
All right.
So that's when we'll all get together again.
That's right. That's right. Yep. That's Hashem. We pray and hope for that, sure. Okay. There's a subtle distinction between the two. It's sometimes the two terminologies are used interchangeably, but there really is a subtle distinction between the two.
Right.
Between Geula and Yisrael, as you see now here, he says that the shofar is used in these two possible ways. One is in Geula, meaning Geula is more something is like an upgrade. You're gaining a level of something which was not there before. Like from slavery to freedom, right? But Yeshua is that you're being saved from something which could be a threat or actual danger or actual oppression to you, and that's a Yeshua.
Okay. Ki ne'amar in Bamidbar, v'chi tavu milchama al chatzar hatzorer eschem v'hareosam v'chatzotros v'niz karsam lifnei Hashem Elokechem v'noshatam. When it says in Bamidbar, Ki tavo, I brought you with war.
Maybe like when it'll come upon you war.
When will come upon you war. What is there? Chatzorer.
Al-Tsar Hatzorer Eschem, on those who oppress you. Because those who oppress you. Those who oppress you. Okay, sorry, excuse me.
War
right.
With those who oppress you. V'harosam b'chatzos ros, and you will see.
Well, yeah. Well, harosam, like you shall blast. You shall trumpet out with the. You shall trumpet with the katrostros. You shall sound out with the trumpets. Katrostros are trumpets.
and you will trumpet with the trumpets, and you will remember.
And and you will be or in this kartem, and you shall be remembered lifnei Hashem, and you shall be remembered before
You shall be
Hashem.
remembered before Hashem, your God. What is Vinosha Sam?
V'noshasam, and that shall be you shall be
Saved, maybe.
I guess so. Yes, you'll be saved, or you'll be rescued. You'll be saved.
Rescued. Okay.
Yeah, saved is good. Yeah.
Hare lecha ki hashofar hu shua min ha'aviv. We see for you the shofar brings salvation from our enemies.
Right. Hari Lacha, this is for you to know and to see Ki Hashofahu to Shua min Oiv. It is a salvation from the enemy.
V'haya gormas zechira v'chein hayovel hu siman sheyitz'u l'chayros ha'avadim. What is this goremes?
And so he goremes zechira. The shofar causes. Goremes is the cause. Zechira, it causes a zechira, remembrance.
It causes a remembrance, and therefore,
V'chein hayovel, and likewise yovel.
and likewise the yovel, it's a sign that they went out from slavery to freedom.
Right. Right.
20.
Yes.
V'chein amru chachamim zal haru'a shofar b'chalom yitzpa l'geula v'chulei. And thus it is said by the Chachamim, blessed memory, harua is to blow.
Yes, there's a
Aroeh.
no, this it says Chazal saying this is the Gemara in Brachas. Rosh shofar b'chalom, a person sees a shofar in a dream. Haro, he's the one who sees. Haro, he the one who sees shofar b'chalom. He the one who sees a shofar in a dream.
Okay. Yitzpa l'geula v'kule. What's yitzpa?
But he should hope, or he can expect, or he can hope for a geula, a redemption.
Perek HaRo'eh B'Midbar. Hare
Right.
sorry.
Go ahead. That's good.
Hare Lecha Ki HaShofar Hu HaGeula V'zeh Ki HaShofar Hu Mashmiya Hakol Lasof Hapuzrim Kidei She Yishma'u Osam Ufazurim V'yavo L'makom Acher Viz
Echad.
Echad V'zehu Hageula. Okay, so let's see. We see it says in Bresh in Brachos. The shofar brings redemption, and this is because the shofar that is when it's heard, when the sound of the shofar is heard, in the end, what is Pizorim?
Yeah, right. The shofar is a redemption. This is key a shofar, since the shofar mashmiya koil, that the shofar is what produces the sound, the osif hapazurim, that produces a sound which is to gather those that were spread out, to ingather those who were spread out. Hafuzarim are spread out. Asif is to gather those that are spread out.
To gather. Okay. Kedei she yishma'u osam. In order that they should hear, hapazoim, the ones who are spread out, v'yavo the makom echad, and they'll go to one place. V'zehu hago'alah, and this is their redemption. Ki ha vod hashavod asher nishta vedu tachas Rosh acherim, because that he works.
He's shibud. He's in servitude in the submission to others.
He's in servitude in the submission to others. Instead of the leader of the others.
Well, the takas rishus acherim, under the the rule of others.
Rishus, under the rule of others. Under the rule of others. So he's in servitude in that he submits to the rule of others.
Mm.
The avo achad yachad v'hakavut yachad hu hagoal hagula lefi sheyotzim mirshus acherim. Because he has the permission of others. V'zeh shamar v'haya bayom hahu yiska b'shofar gadol uva'u ha'ovdim be'eretz Ashur v'gomer. And this, that it says on that day, we blow the great shofar, and it comes, and the workers come to the land of Ashur.
Those who are lost, those who are the lost in Eretz Ashur, they will be ingathered on that day.
The Eretz Ashur, ingathered. Hine ze hashofar hu mora al kavutz hagil yos asher haim
Right, that's the shofar, which is a indication of the ingathering of those who had dispersed. They are under the domain of others.
V'hem yatzu mirishus acher v'yachlu v'yichalalu ke'echad, and they fulfill the wishes of others with one rule,
that they go out from the rishus, the domain of others, and they all gathered. They're all now as one group.
V'chein hatam hu the Yovel his kaya the shofar, and so the reason that we blow the shofar on the Yovel, Lamar ki hakol yatso merishus asher haim bo v'yavo el makom echad v'hu makom hakolel hakol asher hu chirushus cherus. And therefore the reason that we blow the shofar on the Yovel is to say everyone fulfills from the beginning that which they come to bring to the place, to the one place, and it is a place. What is Hakulal?
This is the reason why on Yovel the shofar is blown. To say Ki Hakol Yotzim Rishus Asher Bo, that they are all going out from the dominion of others, and all coming to one specific place, and that is the place, to the situation which is all encompassing, right? That's a makam hakoilel a call. That's a place, a situation which is all encompassing, which is freedom, which is going out to their freedom.
Okay, I lost the flow. Could you summarize a little bit, please?
Yeah. So the shofar is an indication of two things. It's an indication of Geula and Yeshua.
Right.
And in terms of understanding why the shofar is blown at Yovel, because that's an indication of the redemption of the slaves, which takes place in Yovel when we blow the shofar. That simultaneous and dependent upon the redemption of the slaves is the blowing of the shofar, because the shofar is an indication of the transfer of a person's situation, the slavery that people were in during the years preceding Yovel, and at the time of Yovel, with the sounding of the shofar, now their situation is changing from that one of being slaves to being free. And therefore, the shofar is the mechanism by which the freedom is sparked, that the sparking of the freedom, which is the end of the servitude of the slaves in the time in the year of Yovel, is precipitated, is caused by the sounding of the shofar, because the shofar itself is a indication of redemption, which means they're coming to one specific physical situation, meaning they're leaving the dominion of others and they're now entering into the to their own rishus, their own authority, going out from under the authority of others and coming now into their own personal freedom and authority. And that's the signal that the shofar gives by allowing the transfer of being under the dominion of someone else and now being under the own authority of their own personal will and judgment. And that's precipitated by the blowing of the shofar.
I see. Okay, thank you. That helped a lot.
Okay. So now we have to understand how that relates to Rosh Hashana, because that's shofar by Yovel. Okay, the fact that the shofar is it's what precipitates the freedom of the slaves on Yovel. So now, how does that relate to us, each and every individual, that we are commanded to listen to the blowing of the shofar in Rosh Hashana? How does that relate to Rosh Hashana?
Right.
That brings us to paragraph number 21.
All right, we want to continue, or are we done for today?
No, I think we have a few minutes yet, don't we?
V'zeh asher tiva Hashem Yisborach b'tekias shofar b'Rosh Hashana. And this is that which is commanded by Hashem to blow the shofar on Rosh Hashanah. Ki b'yom hazeh hu yom hadin. Because this day is the day of judgment. Uvadin Kishtan Tarag Tarag Hashem.
Okay, and this is the command from Hashem, is Hakadosh Baruch Hu b'tekiyas shofar Rosh Hashanah. This is the command of blowing the shofar on Rosh Hashanah. Ki b'yom hazeh Yom Hadin, because this day of Rosh Hashanah is Yom Hadin, the day of judgment. Within Asatan Mekatrek, and in din, when there's a situation of din, and whenever there's going to be a situation of judgment, of determination of something, so the Sultan is Mekatrek. The Sultan now makes and has an opportunity to make complaints, because now it's a time of din. So therefore, the Sultan can make any complaints that a person against the person that they or people, Klal Yisrael, that the Sultan has an opportunity to do.
V'hakadosh Baruch Hu mis'ala al kisei hadin, and Hashem ascends to the throne of justice. What does that mean? I've heard that phrase. Hashem goes from this throne to that throne. What are we talking about?
Yeah, that it's the beginning of Rosh Hashanah is always ushered in by Kadosh Baruch Hu judging his world, judging the world, which is din, judgment, right? And the judgment that's going to take place is under the strict guidelines and dictates of emes, of what should be, without any incorporation of mercy in the judgment. But when a Kadosh Baruch Hu will, so to speak, arise from his kisei throne of din, of judgment, and he'll sit now on the throne, which is indicating mercy, Kadosh Baruch Hu's mercy. So then there won't be any accusations made against Klal Yisrael, or for that matter, against any person within Klal Yisrael.
Is it really this kind of a all or nothing approach? Hashem Kiviyachal is in the justice mode. Everything is justice, and then he switches to the mercy mode, and everything is mercy. That doesn't make any sense to me. It seemed to me that Hashem would judge more even-handedly than that.
There's a reason. There's a reason for din. Din is actually there's actually great advantages to din. That if a person is judged, it might be harsh. The din may be harsh, but actually there's in terms of the benefits to din, they're actually very great. It could be that we see that by tzaddikim they weren't interested in the Kadosh Baruch Hu's mercies and didn't want any, so to speak, favors from the Kadosh Baruch Hu. The great tzaddikim, they wished and hoped that they would survive the din without the need of any mercy involved. The examples we see different examples that tzaddikim prefer to be judged according to din rather than rachami. That person has a fear, if he's being judged with mercy, that he may be using up his valuable merits, that he might be losing merits because of being judged with rachami. Rather, if he's judged strictly from din, there's an advantage that he doesn't lose any merits because of his being judged in din. He'll only lose merits because he's being judged in mercy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Uke she'eno tokin b'shofar as
Kisha'anu, that when we are Kisha'anu, and when we will blow the shofar.
And when we blow the shofar, what is this? Mis Allah?
So when we blow the shofar, right? Az mis Allah barakamim. With the blowing of the shofar, there is a transformation to mercy.
So a second ago, you were telling me how din is a good thing. So, but it sounds like we don't want din. We want mercy. That's why we're blowing the shofar so many times.
Yeah, well, it's really not. It all depends. And theoretically, it's better to be judged in din. Practically speaking, in order to survive, we really need rachamim.
Why is it better to be judged in din?
Because a person won't lose any of his merits if he's judged in din. A person, if he's judged in rachamim, he could be losing his merits. He could be losing his advantages.
What do you need merits for if you got a good judgment?
Well, if a person can actually hope and have a good judgment, but again, there's anytime a person's done the slightest thing wrong, right? So he's liable for it. Right. So anytime he's liable for it, so that's going to be some type of punishment is going to be needed to bring a kapara. There's gonna have to be some cleansing that has to take place, spiritual cleansing, physical cleansing, and the person is going to be cleansed. He can be cleansed in one of two ways: with din or with mercy, or with rachamim. And but either way, he has to be cleansed. And the only difference is when a person's cleansed, he's being judged with din, so he'll have his merits intact. Whereas if he's judged in rachamim, so he stands the chance of losing his merits, which is something which we want to avoid.
But we say that when we blow the shofar on Rosh Hashana, Hashem gets up from the Kisei Hadin and moves to the Kisei Rachamim.
Right. Exactly. We can, but with by using the shofar, we are able to transform the day from a day of din to a day of rachamim without losing any of our merits. Because the shofar is, since it's a command from a Kadosh Baruch Hu, we're fulfilling the command of a Kadosh Baruch Hu. So the fulfillment of that command of a Kadosh Baruch Hu, that itself is something which is a merit which we gain in and of itself because of our adherence to the mitzvah of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And so therefore we gain a tremendous advantage by having the judgment take place upon us with rachamim rather than with a din, and we're doing it in a way that we're not going to sacrifice any merits, because we're doing it and we're changing the din into rachamim because of our blowing of the shofar, which is a fulfillment of the mitzvah.
So we're having our cake and eating it too. We're getting the rachamim and we're not losing the merits.
Exactly. That's a very big thing. That's a tremendous advantage.
And that's because we're following the program that Hashem and the sages set forth.
That's right. Exactly. That schus of our doing this mitzvah, blowing the shofar, right? That is a schus which, number one, changes the judgment into a judgment of rachamim, mercy, and it also does it in a way that we're not going to lose out. Could be maybe we'll say when we will restart 21 for tomorrow. I don't want to go too far time over time, which we've done a few minutes already overtime. So maybe let's stop here. We'll start number 20, paragraph number 21 again tomorrow, maybe. Yeah.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Okay.
Very good. Let's take a little break. Roy, should have a good afternoon. Hope to see you tomorrow.
Thank you. You too. Be well.
Okay.
And I'll see you, me, and Lou later on.
Okay, very good. Yashikaya.
Sounds good. Thank you,
Very
Meir.
good.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Okay.